Hey, thanks for joining me today. I got a special guest here today, Jessie Lynn St. Pierre. She's a good friend of mine. She's been friends of mine for years now, and I think she has a great story. She's a former model, a career woman, a mom, and I think she got a lot to share with us. So I asked her to come on today. So I'll be right back. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Well, thanks for having me.
And you're looking beautiful as ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad for a hangover, huh?
No, not at all. God bless. So I want to ask you some questions. I want to know more about your childhood,
Okay.
where you grew up, and
Okay. So, I grew up in Somerset, Mass. My father was a single bachelor, took on custody of me and my sister. My mother, she, she's a Native American, Passamaquoddy Indian.
oh, nice.
Yeah. They were together for, I think, 8 years. 8 years, and then a little bit after she had my brother CJ, they separated.
Mm.
And so we pretty much raised ourselves from there on, me and my sister. My family was kind of involved in that whole Fall River cult murders. They had all that family entwined issues. My father had to go up against them because my mother testified against the cult to get them in prison. They killed her best friend.
Wow. Yeah.
More unfair for her own life, but
You said there was a book on this?
yeah, Mortal Remains. They actually have now a documentary on, what is it, AMC or something like that they play.
Model Remains?
I think it was, I forgot what they called it, the show. But they do have a documentary. I don't remember what it was, the name of it. Fall River cult murders. It was like the most infamous things.
Wow.
But
Well, praise God you're not involved in that.
no.
Just got out of that. That was a good thing.
Yeah, my father did a good job protecting us because their whole goal was to get to us in order to intimidate my mother not to testify.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's like any other organization. That's what they're going to try to do. These cults, they're bad out there right now.
yeah.
You know.
We were in like a Book of Warlock or something. That's like the cult thing. So you're in a Book of Warlock, which is kind of like a black book of hit lists.
Yeah.
Like the hitman list.
Mm-hmm.
Basically for their payback to her. But my dad went up against them all at 22 years old.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that was great.
yeah, then he bought a little nightclub. It used to be Danny's Hideaway. Remember that place in Florida?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Why does that sound familiar?
He was mob affiliated.
Yeah.
My grandmother was having an affair with him, and he ended up giving her like half of the business. And then when he was murdered, she took over and made it into, bought his side out. And my father and her went into business and made it into a nightclub.
Oh, nice. Wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah, did good for a while.
Yeah. So your father was a connected guy, huh?
Yeah, he was a well-known drug dealer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was my past too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it taught me a lot.
I'm sure he did. And, well, who was he around? Do you remember? Was it the Rhode Island guys or the Connecticut guys? Do you remember?
Everyone, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Bedford. So, everyone.
Well,
I remember Timmy when I was a kid growing up.
Timmy Mello.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big name.
yeah.
Timmy. Yeah.
It was interesting seeing him again when he got out of jail. I was all grown up. It was my son went to that dinner with me. It was an interesting dinner.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a few more things. Now, your modeling career. That really interests me.
So, when I was 17, I got pregnant for my son. So my father made me marry some guy that I really kind of didn't want to marry, but he pushed that it was the best thing for my son because he wouldn't let me. It was like forbidden love. Like me and my son's father were not allowed to be together. My father had a gang, everybody looking for him, and basically said that if I continued to date him, that I would find him hanging up with a telephone pole.
Right, I see.
So that ended that, and I went into the marriage, and during that 10-year marriage, towards the end, I got offered a job for Fredericks of Hollywood. So
Okay.
that was my first big contract job, and from there it just kind of blossomed out and became a decent career. I mean, I could have climbed the ladder as far up as I wanted. I got my name from my Jessie Lynn, which is just my new name, not my birth name, but I got that from Hugh Hefner. So at one of his parties, he said I had the aura of Marilyn Monroe.
Is that what he said?
So yeah.
I do remember seeing that picture. We're gonna have to pull up
Yeah.
some more pictures of these.
Yeah. I was always the non-party. I never partied, I never drank. I'd go to the after parties, but I'd stand around and just watch everybody else. And Hugh was kind of curious about that. Like everybody's partying out and having fun and orgies everywhere, and here's Jess just standing there.
Which is a good thing,
Well, I
Praise
had
God.
a kid. I had 2 kids, so I have responsibilities, and like I said, my childhood kind of molded who I was going to become as an adult. Like when I seen what it did, drugs did to all the women with my father, it just made me everything that he did. I was determined to do the opposite. So
That's great. That's a good thing.
yeah,
That is a good thing.
it saved my life.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
It really did.
Everybody, a lot of people make that mistake. We
Yeah.
follow in our father's footsteps.
Yep, product of your environment.
Yeah, we know I did that. I grew up around that life, But I'm so happy that you got out of it, because I read a lot of your stuff on Facebook, and I know you went to a Christian college, and that impressed me.
Yeah, I found religion on my own. When I had my son, he almost died a couple times. He was born with a very rare condition, and so he's had the priest give him his last rites twice.
Wow.
And so we weren't raised in churches. I mean, we weren't raised in any of that religion other than the cult thing. So for me, when I had him, I was like, I need to learn a little bit more about religion, or what I want to, choose. And it was like baptisms and this and that, But I didn't want to just do something just to do it. I want to know everything about it and make the best choice. So,
Right.
So when he was dying, my stepmother said to do a prayer service at the church. And I'm like, what's that going to do? He's dying. And she's like, no, just have a prayer service. And I never put 2 to 2 together. One Sunday morning, the doctor came in, and he's like, he's doing a turnaround. He's like, he went from dying and only having a couple days to all of a sudden his levels are coming back up. And
Well, people don't realize how powerful intercessory prayer is. In praying for your son from the church, it allows God to work
I
in your
didn't believe
son's
in it,
life.
though. I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, I know. I didn't believe in it
Nothing.
either.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about it. I mean, the only thing
Yeah.
I knew was the dark side of religion.
Yeah.
I never knew the bright side. So it wasn't until he was already home, and then it just kind of came up a thought, whatever, and I was like, wow, wasn't that Sunday the day I had that prayer? They were doing that prayer service, because when you put it in, they only do it on the Sunday morning. They have the church, go over and do the prayers, because I put it in on a Thursday or whatever. So I was like, I think that was that same Sunday, and that's the Sunday that my son did the turnaround. And so that was what pulled me to learning more about God and seeking that and becoming a Christian.
How old were you when you got into the Christianity?
I was 22 when I started going into Catholic. So it was the beginning of me
Catholic,
just
okay.
seeking. But the Catholic, I would go to church and I wouldn't walk away with understanding anything.
Yep.
I just didn't comprehend anything that the priest was saying, and you didn't walk out kind of with anything more than when you walked in. Then I went to Father Campbell, who was the one who baptized my kid, and he said that, the beginning start of becoming a godlike person is to do your penance, repent, and then he did a, what is that called? It's not an exorcism, it's more like, because he said, you know, exorcisms are for possessed people, but anyone who sinned is obsessed. So which every sin you commit allows like demonics to come into your circle type of thing. And then the more and more like your sin of choice, whether it's lying, stealing, killing, murder, adultery, that becomes the demon the most powerful. And then the more you feed it, then it can take over, and you know, that's when you get possessed. So I was like, have you ever seen anyone that was actually possessed? He goes, yes, I actually had one person. She literally picked up a 500-pound altar and whipped it at him. I was like, whoa.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he used to do, what is that called? Those things where you get people who are possessed, unpossessed. What is it called?
What, an exorcism? Yeah.
He used to do those exorcisms. He used to travel all over the world to do exorcisms. Father.
Really?
Yeah, he was the one who ended up marrying me. And it was funny because I was an hour late for that wedding and begging my dad not to get married. And my father's like, you can't have a bastard child, you have to get married. I'm like, okay. So Father Campbell, when I went for my divorce, he said, I know I should have never married you. I'm like, but you did, anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
But, so at 24, a good friend of mine I got involved with, she introduced me to Christianity. She brought me to a Christian church, and she said, just give it a try, see how it works for you as a woman's event or whatever. And I walked out of there with so much information. I was like blown away. Like I understood everything that the pastor was saying. I could feel it, and like just walked out of there kind of inspired. I was like, wow, that was a different experience than the Catholic ways. And so I ended up looking into all religions, from Buddhism to you know, Jewish religions, all the different religions, and seeing what all of them mean, and Native American, which is more spiritual. And what I learned was everything kind of all is the same. So all these religions all are pretty much the same, you know, like from Greek mythology. So Greek mythology is all based basically on biblical times. You're talking about the fallen angels, that, you know, when they talk about, you know, the God who interacted with the woman and had, you know, a half God, half human child. That's Jesus, you know. So it's all the same. It's just different stories that they tell. Their own perception and the way they tell their own stories from their cultural experience or whatever. Like, but so I learned that, and then I decided, well, which one moves me the most? When I lived right next to a Buddhist church, so you go to each church and you kind of like see how you feel when you walk out. And Catholic was numbing. Muslim is pretty much the same as Christianity, other than they don't accept Christ, and so that was a big thing for me.
Well, they feel he's a prophet. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they don't accept him as God, which is pretty much Jews. Jews don't accept him as a God. So I ended up sticking with the Christianity and going more, and the more I went, the more it kind of changed me.
Yeah, it does. It changes for the better.
You learn so much, and that's, you know, that's kind of been a big part of my life that's kept me in balance, because when you're in modeling and you're, you know, around all kinds of, you know, celebrities and parties and, you know, VIPs, and everybody's trying to pull you here and pull you there, it keeps you grounded. It's what saved my life in so many different ways.
I would say that in that industry, because I know there's a lot of drugs.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of sex. There's a lot of different things that go on in that industry.
Yeah, it's limitless. It's really limitless. And to watch it all, and all I can remember the feeling is looking at everybody and saying, God, I wish I can save all their souls. You know, you just see so much. It's just a sad feeling. Like everybody's partying and having fun, and I'm looking at them and I'm watching them, and it's a profound moment when you realize that that moment of happiness or joy that they're having is going to have an eternity of a price to pay. And so I guess that's what kept me from crossing that line.
Fast satisfaction doesn't go anywhere.
No.
You know, it's only temporal. They don't realize that.
Yep.
You know, they're looking for that good feeling, that good time.
Yep.
And that doesn't last.
Yep.
You know, and it's sad.
The more you reject it, the hotter they come at you with contracts offering hundreds and thousands of dollar contracts, $500,000 sign-on bonus if you did it, and I wouldn't do it.
No.
If there's nude, you have to read the fine print. If there's anything that's nude, or it would go against my Christian beliefs, then no. And even then, I kind of cross a little gray line with
Yeah.
lingeries and stuff like that. I mean, some of my stuff is not something you want your pastor to see. So,
Yeah, I understand.
I want to say like that was still kind of in the gray area. I was like one of those, like, what do they call those, half-ass Christians? Can I say that on the show?
Yeah, you could say that. That's all right.
It was like a half-ass Christian, you know, like you're doing the gray lines. You're not crossing completely, but you're still.
Well, what I say is you're
Testing
walking a
waters.
toddling fence.
Yes.
You're going in and out,
Exactly.
you know.
And I was that one.
You're trying to stay on the straight line, but it's really not working.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's very hard.
And the more you try to stay on that straight line, the more people come at you
Yeah,
with temptation, and
of
it's
course.
everywhere.
But you had morals at that point,
Yeah.
and that's what saved you. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people do things out of ignorance.
Well, that's the majority of problem with the world.
Yeah,
Everything,
it is.
everything bad that happens is usually out of ignorance.
Yeah, it is out of ignorance, and I noticed that, you know, many of these people, they believe that, well, let me say for instance, you are you on Instagram?
Yes.
I know we're on Facebook together, but you're on Instagram? All I see, and I hate to say it, is all these girls showing their bum. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
They're shaking their ass, they're doing this, skimpier and skimpier and skimpier. And this is what they want to be recognized for. And they think this is going to get them somewhere.
Well, here's an experience. Like Vinny's ex, and most of them were strippers and porn stars.
Yeah. We're talking about Vinny Pazienza.
Yes.
Okay.
So most of his exes were strippers and porn stars. And now even one of the top paid porn stars, Tyler Faith, is now working back in Boston as a stripper. She's not employable anymore. And so that's the way I look at it. Like every job that you get offered, I mean, I could have been on Playboy, cover girl. I did a shoot for him, and I just refused to go that extra. When you sign a contract, there is no ands or buts. You have to go and do nude, and I won't do it. And it saved me as being a 40-year-old woman now. I still do print modeling. If someone calls me up and says, "Hey, can you do blah blah blah?" If it's, you know, something that I'm open to. I mean, it's bread and butter. It's good work on the side. Even when you need an extra cash, you can still work. And I'm employable in the modeling industry still. So she's not. So she has to resort to the pole because she has no career. She has no education. She has, you know, nothing else but her to depend on. That's what feeds her.
Yeah, it's sad because I've known her for years too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, and most of them get involved in drugs because, I mean, at some point you need to numb
That feeling.
the feeling of being just, you know, disposable. You know what I mean? Like most of the girls, what you doing, and to go that far, drugs is the reason why. What gets them to go that far? It numbs out takes away the conscience.
Yeah.
So you lose that conscience, and it allows you to cross that line.
A lot of it's the cocaine because, you know, I say that all the time. That's Satan's drug of choice.
Heroin is, but yeah.
No, well, listen, heroin's a different story.
Heroin is the devil's venom.
You know, but cocaine makes people do different things.
Of course it does. It's the gateway. It does make people, and Leah Anderson, that's what took her life, and many beautiful, amazingly beautiful women. I mean, Xanax is a prescribed medication, and that's what killed Marilyn. So, I mean, but everybody in that industry has some type of vice.
Yeah,
And
they do.
for me, my vice was not crossing that line, so I wouldn't ever need to numb myself from feeling the guilt or the, you know, humility or, you know, I mean, because it doesn't matter who you are. At some point, you're going to sit there and look at yourself and say, "Oh my God, I did that," you know, or "That's me," and everybody gets to see this now, and you can't erase it once it's out there.
No, it's out there.
So
It's out there forever. Yeah, sad.
So I always question, if I never found Christianity at such a young age, before getting into my modeling career, where would I be today?
Yeah. Thank God you did.
Yeah, that's what saved me.
Yeah,
So,
thank God you did.
yeah.
You know, I myself, I like to teach. I got a degree in theology while I was at prison. And I'm doing a little show now, Robert Luisi Ministries.
Yeah, I seen some of that. You sent me a link of it.
Yeah, I did.
really
Actually,
good.
I did send you that. And you know, I got divorced a few years ago. And I was just falling out.
Yeah.
The world was starting to eat me up, honey. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, that's what divorce does to you. It did to me too.
Yeah, you know, I haven't read in years. I'm just getting back into it now, starting to teach again. And, you know, it's a shame because all Christ did for me. And then I don't want to say rejected him. I always loved Christ, but I wasn't following.
Yeah, be straight away.
Yeah, I
Makes
straight
you feel
away.
like what the disciples. It really does. Makes you feel like it's one of the disciples because they
Yeah.
all strayed away at some point.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, he even told that to Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. It's something, isn't it? If we look at life now, the way things are going on,
Oh, we're at the end.
we are at the end. I
We're
believe
in
in
the book
the
of
end
Revelations.
times.
All the prophets have been fulfilled now.
Yeah.
Trump, I think, is the one who pretty much opened that door to fulfilling the last prophet for Jerusalem.
Well, I got to tell you, yeah, that they moved the capital
Yes.
to Jerusalem.
Yes.
That was big what Trump did.
That was
Nobody
huge.
really realizes
that.
that.
Was that was a part of the prophets. That was prophetic. So
Yeah, yeah.
He fulfilled that last one.
Yeah, he made that happen.
And what's funny is if you watched what was that movie? It was based on a firefighter who ended up going into a fire and literally he was a Christian. He went to a fire and seen a demonic spirit. The mother was passed out from shooting up heroin. 2 kids burned and died in the fire.
Oh.
It was like life altering for this man. And he seen the little boy, I guess that's how it starts out, jump out the window, and then he seen the demon running across the ceiling kind of in the movie. And it messed him up, and he ended up kind of like almost abandoning his Bible for a little while and getting really kind of consumed by it. And he ended up starting to dream, and before Trump was even considered a possibility, he dreamed that Trump would become president of the United States. And everybody was like, oh, okay, Trump become president. I mean, if you remember, for years, Oprah used to make jokes about, why don't you become president? And he was like, nah, I'm all set with that. He was all set with it. And so for him to prophesize that, and then all the different little prophecies he was making ended up coming true. And he didn't understand it, and it's basically that whole road ended up bringing him back to his Christianity. But he, in the movie, he had, I guess, wrestled with the demon, and the demon was attacking him because he had this, ability to prophesize or whatever, and it was almost ruining his life. He almost lost his marriage and kind of willowed away. He wouldn't go out. He wouldn't do anything. He lost his career. But then when Trump did become president, that's when everybody realized there's something behind this, like with this guy, and it ended up becoming a movie. And I don't remember all the details, but it was pretty profound. So Trump was a part of, God's plan.
He did fulfill that.
He did.
Absolutely.
And Hillary, dropped the ball because nobody's seen Trump as a threat. That was her first mistake, is because it was Trump. Who's going to pick him over Hillary Clinton?
And now look, they voted in Biden. Look how bad things are right now.
Well, now we learned what the system really is.
Yeah.
We all thought that we actually had a say. We all thought that us, the people, were actually a part of the system, and now we actually learned a hard reset button for all of us that there is no such thing. There's no such thing. The government, the state, the system is all built. It's all one. There's not Republican, Democrat. It's just 2 sides to one coin, just to make you think you have rights, make you think you have, democracy, and nobody sees it. Like, where is the democracy? You can't even buy a pack of menthol cigarettes.
I know that's a little crazy.
Is that democracy?
No.
Is this a free country?
No.
No.
That's a little
It's just
crazy.
a fed dream, an illusion, and a lot of people are under this, and we're so programmed and so brainwashed that we don't even realize it. Like, we just keep going and not realizing, like, this mask mandate, that was all a force.
Yeah, it's control. It's all about control,
Everything
because
is.
that's what the Democrats want to do. They want you to believe they're for you, but meanwhile, they want to control you.
Well, and
all
what's
about
funny is the
control.
majority of Democrats, I don't even know if I should say this on the show, but the majority of them are of African American descent. And that's because they're fed the bull crap that Democrats like to say. And I always say, like, Malcolm X had a profound statement. He always said, like, even Black Lives Matter is run by George Soros. He funds that. So when you look at everything that's going on between all of this stuff, and then you take just that one sentence that Malcolm always said was, there's a difference between the wolf and the fox. So the fox, Democrats, the fox always acts like they're for you, but they're always ahead of you. They're the, the opening act, you know what I mean? They're always the ones who, are involved or a part. He's like, but if someone's really for you, then they step back, he funds it, steps back, and they have no part of it. They basically, it's like a gift they're giving you. But the fox is always entangled. It's always a profit for them. They always have their hands in the pot. And then there's the wolf, which would be the Republicans. You know what you're getting. The wolf always shows its teeth.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that we still have this whole argument between Democrats and Republicans, people arguing and fighting. I mean, I can't even remember how horrible it was with black people who are Trump fans were being called racist and all kinds of funky stuff.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And it's like, that's what they want. That's exactly what they want. That's what the government has created, these two sides, to always keep us divided, because united we stand. If we all came together and went up against the system, we can literally take it down.
Absolutely.
They don't want that.
Yeah.
So they create all this for this division. And I mean, for Native Americans, we're not even a part of the United States. Like, with the least amount of rights in the United States. And you can see it clearly, but the people who love this country and are so for this country just are so blinded by it.
Yeah. It's sad.
They're controlled.
But see, everybody's eyes are opening now.
Oh, they are, yes.
They see what the inflation, they see what he did with the gas, they see what he's doing with everything.
Yeah.
He's not a good leader. And what's going to happen in November, I hope the Republicans take vote the
Well, what they're trying to do is do one man, one world order. So
well, that's what the Democrats want. The far left.
Yes, and it's going to happen.
It's
going to happen because, for one, it's biblically already said.
Well, see, I believe that comes out of Europe, the European Union.
Well, no, because one world order is when one man is going to own all.
Oh, no, I
So
understand.
he's going to control.
But God created this nation.
Yeah.
And we're separated from
He didn't
that.
create America.
No, I know that. I know the Indians. No, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it for that. I don't mean it for that. But this is a great nation under God. It was built under God.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I'm going to give you some history on that.
All right.
It wasn't.
I'm going to listen.
The Statue of Liberty is actually built on a sex goddess. It's all demonic symbolisms of America that people don't realize that it was built on. It was built about. I mean, when America was built, when the first colonizer came, the first white man came to America, money didn't exist here.
Right.
There was no currency.
Yeah.
So it was trade. Yes, it was trade and bartering. And so our ancestors were welcoming to the first man who came here, which was the French, and made agreements and pacts, and they were bartering for fur, and it was the fox fur that caused the war, that caused that first division that ended up creating the whole wars between natives and colonizers. But there's a balance on how much you kill. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just kill things for money or for greed. You gotta keep the balance.
Yeah.
And they wanted to just kill off all the foxes and just kill as much as they can just to sell and make fur and make trade and make money. And so when the natives kind of put their foot down and said, no, like, you can't just keep killing like that. We're gonna have you're ruining the, laws of life, I guess you could say, in a way, the balance. And so that's where it caused the wars, and then it kind of trickled down from there. But so money, the whole point is currency, and money is the root of all evil. We all know this.
Yeah.
So currency was not here. We didn't have money. We didn't have any of that stuff. America was just, you lived off the land, and you kept the sacred order of, like, animals are your brothers and sisters, and the respect for each other. And yeah, you got to kill, and you got to gotta live to eat, and so on and so forth. But it's a balance. You give back. You give appreciation to what you've killed, and thank you for your life to sustain mine, type of thing. But
all that ugliness came when the colonizers came to America.
Yeah, no, I know.
And then
I
they
understand.
built this system, this government and this system that was built to hold the minorities down. And so it's not a division between religion or color or race, or it's a division between the rich and elite and the poor.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
to keep the poor poor and live off of the poor, and to tax, like, how can you tax land that you don't own? You didn't create. God created this. The government don't own it. So how are they charging God's people who are born here, how are they charging something that they don't even own, you to live on it? Does that even, where does that make sense? Like, that's like me moving into your house and charging you to use like 25 cents leave on the toilet every time you flush.
yeah.
It's literally like me moving into your house and saying all that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you may not have this couch, you may not have that furniture, you may not do this, you may do. I just walked into your house and did all that. Like, who would accept that? Would you accept that? Would
No,
you let me
no,
come
no,
in
no.
and be charging you in your own house? Like,
No,
no.
I know, that's crazy.
So, you know, if you just kind of really take all in from the beginning, the origin of United States of America, it's really not the whole land of the great that people claim to us. It was.
It was at one time. It was. But see, you know, I believe in prophecy. The United States is going to protect Israel.
They're going to turn on Israel.
No, I don't think they will.
Of course, Satan's going to rise to the top. He's going to make the peace treaty, make 2 years of peace for Israel, and then he's going to turn.
Well, I think that false prophet's going to come out, and the Antichrist is going to come out of Europe. That's my belief.
Well, I think it's going to be the Pope, probably.
You know,
Somewhere out
well,
of
the
there.
false prophet has to be a religious
Well, look
figure.
at. I mean, so the Catholics are. I mean, the Roman Catholic beliefs. I mean, the Pope has people bow down and kiss his ring.
Oh yeah.
Thou shalt not worship any other idols. They
Yeah.
worship statues and everything else. You have to do Hail Mary and this and that for forgiveness of sins. Repent. You have to repent through a priest. Where did
That's all
that
nonsense.
just takes everything away from what Christ did. They didn't
Yeah.
even mention Christ as your forgiveness.
I know.
Not once do they mention him. It's a false religion, which is what the Antichrist was come out of.
Yeah.
A
yeah.
false religion that is literally swallowing souls, which is a good portion of religion is Catholic, Roman
Yeah.
Catholic,
Yeah.
which is
1 billion. Yeah.
so. And then if you look at the Vatican, the satanic symbolism's built right in his house. Like, really?
Yeah. I know it's something.
I mean, the Pope's clothes are made of the finest linen and all that stuff. And I mean, if you remember, Jesus with the Pharisees was always that. I mean, he never lashed out at the sinners. He lashed out at the Pharisees.
Yeah, he did.
And how they were, you know, and how they lived.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like those times. Like if you look at
Yeah. He says people in
Roman
rich
Catholic-
garments live in kings' houses.
Exactly.
And this is what they want to be. See, the Pope is a king.
He lives like a king. He's worshipped.
Yeah. And the
You're not
Hall of
supposed to.
Cardinals is actually the Hall of Princes. Because any one of those cardinals could come up and be a pope.
Yep.
So this is their kingdom. And they're over 1 billion people. And they're
truly
very
believe-
well organized.
I truly believe that from the beginning of time,
Yeah.
the Roman Catholic religion has always been more satanic, and it's ran that way
Mhm.
to deceive as many people and claim as many souls as he can.
Well, that's something.
I mean, the beginning of religion, Christianity, was people were murdered for stealing. Like they copied the Bible. And then started giving it to people, allow people to read the Bible themselves, where the Roman did not want anyone reading the Bible.
Well, that was Martin Luther. He translated the first Bible into German.
Yes.
And gave it to the
And he was
German
burned
people.
alive.
Yeah,
on a
and then,
stake.
yes, and then the King James Version came, the English version
Yeah.
that we read today, the most popular one. And yeah, no, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an enemy.
So why is it that the Roman Catholic didn't want man to have the Word of God? Why weren't we allowed a copy of it? Why
It's
weren't we
control.
allowed to read it? Exactly.
It was
It
control.
was a control religion from the beginning.
Yeah, that's control. If you read the Bible, you see you don't need the church.
And that's the whole point, because the church, they
don't.
charge.
Yeah.
They charged for forgiveness of sin. I think so it was $5 for like murder. It was $2 for adultery.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember? Like,
Well,
they
these are the
actually
things that
literally
Martin Luther he was fighting that.
Yeah.
And that's why he became an
Of course,
enemy.
everybody who did. I mean,
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
So from the father to the son. The son was murdered because he put in for running for president, and he's not dead. That's a whole other story.
Those are conspiracy theories, but that's something different.
But is it?
Yeah.
Trump was a very close person of the family. He was very close to John F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy Jr., when he put in for his presidency that he was running, Hillary knew she was going to lose. She knew she was going to lose. He was the most popular. I mean, he was going to be the choice, and she did not expect him to put in. Nor did he, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that hit on him. The CIA agent that was actually, what's it called, paperclip, whatever was the code word for that hit on him. Anyway, Trump became president, and when he talks about emptying out the swamp or
Yeah.
whatever that terminology he uses for that, that's all based upon revealing the government for what it really is. He didn't become president because he wanted to be president of the United States. That was established in interview after interview prior, when everybody was like, "Why don't you run for president? Because you're such a great businessman." Everybody loved him then. He ran for president because of John F. Kennedy Jr. And that loss made him look and dig and reveal truths. And that was his whole point of getting into that presidency. And that's why he's the first president who was ever bugged. All the stuff that they did from the beginning of him being in office to throw him out, right down to a trumped up election.
Yeah.
Like that election was all bullshit.
Well,
Goes throwing out ballots. I mean, they've got it on video.
I know.
Postmen were saying, like, they're purposely telling us we need to throw this out, and they called in radio station and saying what they were seeing firsthand, and all of it was ignored. Nobody cared. Why does that never happen?
Yeah.
It's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
If this criminal acts are happening, how can we overlook that? Why has nobody been charged for all of that? And all these things that was going on between his impeachment to this, that, it was all just a puppet show to keep people distracted to what was really happening when he had court case after court case against Hillary, all the murders, everything, all the conspiracy theories that people were saying. All these people were going to court. Hillary was facing charges. COVID was all just, once again, another big distraction for people.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
No, this was a good talk. This is great. I love your opinion on all these things.
Yeah, once again, it's just an opinion.
Yeah.
I'll probably get killed for it, but no.
No, don't worry about it. I mean, listen, the viewers that watch the show have all different opinions. We're not attacking Democrats or Republicans. We're not attacking
of course
anybody.
not.
We're just,
It's just an opinion. We're all entitled
just,
to one. But
just
this
voice
is
of
America.
opinions.
You really are entitled to an opinion. Has to meet against certain agendas.
Yeah. So let me ask you, before we close out, what are you doing right now for work? What do you do now?
Clinical laboratory science. Yeah.
Did you have to get a degree for that?
Of course.
Yeah.
I started out with a nursing degree. So at some point in my career, I was modeling. And like I said, I got further into Christianity and deeper into Christianity as I grew. And then I realized this is a self-serving career. Like, modeling is self-serving. And it feeds everything that, even though I'm not crossing that gray line or what you had said, I'm doing something that's against everything that Jesus wants me to do.
Yeah.
I'm not helping people, I'm helping myself, I'm not giving back, and it's kind of like making myself an idol. Being worshipped by people, all your fans. I've had fans on my Facebook for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Over 10 years now. And they're loyal. But, so I came to the point where I realized I want to change my career and do something to give back to people or to live more of a Christ-like life. And so I got into nursing, and then it led me to laboratory work, and then I realized clinical laboratory science is
is my passion. I love what I do. People don't really even know what clinical laboratory scientists are. It's kind of like one of the least acknowledged jobs. The doctors get all the credit, but we do all the diagnostic work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
So
understand.
we hand the doctor all the diagnostics and exactly what to use, what penicillin or what it is, what medication to treat those elements, and the doctor just signs the prescription and tells you, this we have, and
Yeah.
gets all the credit. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, as a Christian, that was like the perfect career. It's
Yeah.
where you live in, not in the spotlight, but you kind of do it behind closed doors and nobody knows.
Well, let me tell you, I'm so happy you came on
I'm happy
today.
to be here.
This was a great show.
was
It really
interesting
is.
show.
No, it was. It was interesting. I love your opinions and on everything. That was good. And I'm hoping that you come back again.
Of course.
I'd love to have you on a Wednesday night.
Definitely.
That's when we do the question and answer.
We kind of marry each other in different aspects of life, but we marry each other into where we are today.
Yeah? No.
So
That was great.
that's cool.
I want to thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And now we're going to go. And I want to thank everybody for